And yeah, it started in Lisbon. Has a rather small 300 people gathering, and it has evolved towards a 1,000 people conference in 2019, just before the pandemic hit. During the pandemic years, like everybody else, I think we hibernated and we had to mostly stop IRL activities. And then when we came back, we decided to do a smaller 500-ish people event, and that's where we're staying at the moment. The 2024 edition is going to be an event for 400, 500 people. It's 3 days. It's starting on October 2nd. Then we have workshops on October 3rd, and then we have the conference day, mostly talks and panels on October 4th.
Excellent. Yeah, no, what I love about the conference is that, well, one, I mean, the venue and the location was fantastic. And two, I thought that when I went to it for the first time last year, the way that I've been describing it to people was that it kind of felt almost like a festival.
Welcome to the Product Agility Podcast, the missing link between agile and product. The purpose of this podcast is to share practical tips, strategies, and stories from world-class thought leaders and practitioners. Why, I hear you ask? Well, I want to increase your knowledge and your motivation to experiment so that together we can create ever more successful products. My name is Ben Maynard and I'm your host. What has driven me for the last decade to bridge the gap between agility and product is a deep-rooted belief that people and products evolving together can achieve mutual excellence.
Welcome, it's the Product Agility Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Maynard, and we've got a little teaser episode for you today, coming in the midst of a flurry of episodes from Scrum Day London 2024. We want to begin to make you aware of another awesome conference. This conference, though, is slightly different to some of the other ones I go to. This one is in foreign climes, in Portugal, in Lisbon no less, and it was a conference that we partnered with for the first time last year. That conference is Productized, and I am joined by Andre Marquet, the CEO and organiser and general mega mind of. I invited onto the show because I wanted to learn more about the lineup of speakers and workshops, and also relay some of that information to you. If you're wondering what to do in October, then hopefully this episode will convince you to come to Portugal and come to the amazing Productized Conference. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. It's
great to be here as well, Ben.
Lovely. I mean, for the listeners that haven't been to Productized before, I don't suppose you could just give us a bit of a insight into the history of the conference. I know this wasn't a question we prepared for, but I thought actually it could be quite nice for people to understand more about the conference and how it came to the point it's at today.
Absolutely. So, well, first and foremost, thanks for having me on Agility Podcast. Productized Conference started back in 2020. Sorry, what is that? 2015. So that was 9 years ago. And yeah, it started in Lisbon. Has a rather small 300 people gathering, and it has evolved towards a 1,000 people conference in 2019, just before the pandemic hit. During the pandemic years, like everybody else, I think we hibernated and we had to mostly stop IRL activities. And then when we came back, we decided to do a smaller 500-ish people event, and that's where we're staying at the moment. The 2024 edition is going to be an event for 400, 500 people. It's 3 days. It's starting on October 2nd. Then we have workshops on October 3rd, and then we have the conference day, mostly talks and panels on October 4th.
Excellent. Yeah, no, what I love about the conference is that, well, one, I mean, the venue and the location was fantastic. And two, I thought that when I went to it for the first time last year, the way that I've been describing it to people was that it kind of felt almost like a festival. It didn't feel like a normal conference. I don't know if that's because of the people or the way you organised it, but something just really worked. What there was great feedback on was the structure of having the workshops on the first day and then kind of talks and the more traditional conference elements then following on the other days. But this year we're adding a day before the workshops.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually a half day, so it's starting just after lunch and with a welcome coffee. And then it's more of an end conference for leaders that are coming together. So it's a much smaller event. It's more of a pre-event maybe. And after this welcome coffee, we're having masterminds with mentors, industry pioneers like Denise Thiels. She's the co-author of the Product Operations book with Melissa Perry, Brittany Cadutt and others, to come up with this, discussions that for people in leadership positions make sense. And this is a little bit up for the grabs because we want this to be a lot of impromptu on that day, a lot of unconference style of what to be discussed, and we don't want to give it a very scripted conversation. We want these conversations to go and flow as they should, with people that are very mature to the industry towards their challenges and what the future holds for the product community for 2025 and onwards.
Amazing. Yeah, I can't wait to come along and meet some new people. The friends that I made last year, I've carried on through to this very day.
That's good to know.
I've made a lot of new friends and lots of people that have been featured on the podcast since then. Now, you've got this half leadership day, which is an unconference style. Sounds great, sounds very organic, and looking at some of the future challenges that are going to be facing the product world over the coming year. Then you've got a workshop day.
And then we have other 6 workshops in the afternoon. So these are half-day workshops, and they're mostly included in the all access ticket. So people cannot really buy a specific workshop, or they cannot just attend the workshop. So if you want to come, also to your point, because you want this to feel more of as a festival, and they stay for the actual talks, and they don't just come for the one workshop and then they run away because they have to go back to the office. We really tried to make people to relax for at least 2 days and enjoy the peers that they meet. Some of them probably people that are going to meet at the conference, new friendships, but also if some of them want to bring their colleagues, that's also great. The 6 morning workshops this year, I think, are also really great. We're going to have Chris Compton on enabling a product thinking mindset. He's coming from the UK. He's actually someone we met also last year at the conference. Agelos Mousakitis from Greece on value-based pricing and packaging for subscription businesses. We're going to have Janet Bumpus she's from the US, but she's actually based in Amsterdam. Sebastian Priories from OKRs and Roadmap. Also, a very interesting workshop by Sergio Lazar on 5 pillars of psychologically safe teams. And another one in the morning on product strategy with OKRs, and that's by Victoria Scheer. She's currently based in Germany. And then in the afternoon, we have other 6 workshops, and they will be, we don't think there's like a logical continuation. So you can take a specific workshop in the morning, then you can have like the second part of like OKRs in the afternoon if you want to, but people are free to choose and pick whatever track they want to follow, really. So, but one thing that I understand people get a little bit pissed off with our conference is the fact that they don't get to choose the specific workshop when they buy the ticket. They get to buy all access ticket, and then, when do I get to choose the workshop? And we only allow people to choose the workshop very close to the conference date. And the reason for that is we want to sell out. And then whenever all the tickets are sold out, then we allow all people to choose at the same time, and they choose on a first come, first serve basis. So if you have to hurry up, you have about 24 hours to pick and choose whatever workshops you want to go to. If they are already all the seats are taken, you might want to go to that other workshop that you were not so excited about. My general feeling is that most people don't really regret, because all the workshops tend to be really, really great. And even if it's a topic that you were not so eager at first, then you tend to be surprised by how much you end up learning in something that you were not expecting to learn in the first place.
Yeah, I look at the list of workshops, and I think the thing I would be pissed off about if I had the opportunity to go to any of the workshops, because unfortunately I will probably be interviewing people whilst the workshops are going, is that actually it isn't so much that I wouldn't get the one I wanted. It's just being able to choose which one I actually wanted to go and be involved in, because they're all really high quality and there's such an interesting range of great people talking about really interesting topics. And in that respect, to carry on the festival idea, it is like a festival, because you're going to miss the band you might want to see, because you're going to see another one. I remember years ago, he made a software tool called a Clash Finder, which is a website, and it allowed you to kind of plan your festival. It's since kind of carried on. Other people have carried the torch on that. But, it's a big thing, I think, with the workshops, is being able to decide. And anyone here that's in the product space will look through those workshops and be like, yes, okay, that's super interesting. And I think some of the people who are more in the agile coaching space may look at be thinking, well, are these product workshops for me? And I say, absolutely. Like, the types of things you will learn in this workshop will set you apart from the crowd, because I think this is some amazingly experienced product experts here talking about things that are really super relevant in the product space. And I think if you listen to this as an agile person, I say that in inverted commas, like, do go to the Productized website and check out some of those workshops, because I can almost guarantee you there'll be something there which will really elevate your knowledge and your desire to really want to kind of embrace some of the more modern product thinking techniques that are coming out there. Now, Andre, when we talk about the workshops again, I remember a friend of the podcast, David Pereira, his workshop last year was massively oversubscribed, I seem to remember, or at least he had a lot of more people attending that he was initially anticipating.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the problems you have as a conference organizer, because not all rooms are exactly the same size. So you have to anticipate demand to a certain extent, or then you have to shift, workshops into different rooms according to whatever demand was from the subscription to specific workshops, if that makes sense. But yeah, sometimes they tend to be oversubscribed, but we cap all workshops to a specific size limit. So I believe David Pereira's was capped at 25 people or so. Yes, and probably it should have gotten a bigger room. So that's the reason.
I think I did offer to help him out, and then realised that, again, I was busy recording, so I couldn't go and help him out. But yeah, no, honestly, to some fantastic workshops.
Even for yourself, I mean, we have booked a room for your podcast last year, and it ended up not being exactly the best room or the most suited room that you would want for your podcast. So you had to move a couple of times from room to room to setup until you actually found, some kind of setup that actually worked for your team.
Yeah, and we found the perfect place, I think. Where we ended up last year,
which was quite close to the venues.
Absolutely perfect. Lovely view over all the people milling around on the thoroughfare to the speakers room, where people could go and kind of prepare for their talks and have a quiet moment. So it was just wonderful. A big long runway walking up to it, when me and Tammy Reese walked up it on a catwalk with the wind blowing through our hair. I hope Tammy can come again this year, because I appreciate Tammy's energy.
Yeah, she's super energetic.
Yeah.
And she has a great relationship with Rich Mironoff. Is one of the new speakers. We also have Becky Flint from Dragon Boats. All these people are coming from the US, Radhika Dutt. And then we have Martin Felkman. He's the head of product at Product Boards. He's going to be in one of the panels, along with Fabrice de Mazuri. Also Diana Steppner and Francesca Cortese from Sweden. And then we have people coming from Berlin and many other places. And of course, I hope, actually, we haven't really confirmed any speaker from Portugal this year, but there might be some surprise coming up in the next few weeks. I don't know.
Are there still more speakers to announce?
Yes, we still have 3 or 4 speakers to announce, and we're going to close. So one of the things that happened this year is I went to ProductCon in London in February, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, it's London, February. So obviously, it's cold and it's great very, very soon in the day. So you don't want to, end the conference very late in the evening, because it will be too late. But they were closing really early, like 3 o'clock or so. And then at 3 o'clock, they start the after party. We're going to do this in October. So in October in Lisbon, still very sunny and still very warm weather, so it doesn't really make sense to close the conference that early. So we close, but still we're closing a little bit earlier than we did last year. So last year, if you remember, we closed it at 6, and then there was an after party which was super far away. Not that Lisbon is a huge city, but still people had to go into the subway and go to the party. And this year, what we're doing is we're getting the conference to close at 5:00, and then the after party is on the venue, this Riverside venue itself, and this way people really don't have to take any public transportation or get on an Uber to go to the venue of the party. And we do the after party there. We'll have some local craft beer, some food and snacks. And I think this will allow people to close the event with a nice and just cool and chill after party. And then they're free to go anywhere they want if they really want to continue the conversations.
Well, yeah. Not that I needed to be sold on the idea, but I'm sold on the idea. I really can't wait. And I think the great thing about the after party last year was just getting to meet some of the speakers that I didn't get to meet or talk to during the conference properly. I mean, other than the kind of interview type setup, it was just fantastic to get to meet people in a more relaxed setting.
One of the things that I'm really proud of Productized is that we tend to make the speakers to embrace the audience, not just on stage, but also during the coffee breaks, during the social moments. So they're very relatable. They're very accessible. And they're not hidden in this, somewhere in this locked room where they don't get to, talk with people, and that makes the event very cozy and familiar in many aspects. And that's something people over the years have been telling me, is that unlike so many events where they go and then they hear the talk and then that's it, they get the chance to actually interact with the speaker and have side conversations that otherwise they wouldn't really have the opportunity to do.
But I think it's a testament to your speakers as well, because there's not every conference, where the speakers want to hang around and do that. And I think you make it was made so easy. And and I've been to a lot of conferences in my time, but there was definitely something that was felt quite unique. I think, and I think that some of that's to do with the speaker selection as well. And so when we think of the speaker selection, Andre, is there a particular speaker and topic that you're looking forward to this year?
So I'm really curious. So we have this ongoing podcast, and that's obviously called Productized Podcast, right? If you want to check it out. And we get to do interviews with the speakers along the way. And I think we've had interviews with most of the speakers at this point. And so I'm a big fan of Fabrice. I think he's always a super smart person. So I'm really curious to see what his talk is going to be. His talk, by the way, in London was super smart, super witty, and super fun. It tries to make a mix of talk and, I wouldn't say impromptu stage dynamics, but it is quite funny. I'm always looking forward to Radhika. I think she's one of the smartest and most interesting product thinkers out there. And Rich. So Rich actually has been the first speaker we announced this year, has been in the Valley since the early 1980s or so. So he has been, a person that has been through lots of transformational shifts. And I think having stock from people that have been around for several decades makes a lot of sense, as the product community is into this semi-crisis of the role of the product person inside the company, and, product ops versus X versus Y, and AI product enabled people, and so on. And having hindsight and having retrospect of what has happened over the years, it's super important, so that after times come, and having someone that have been through this and have been through this, the highs and downs of the 90s and the collapse and the early 2000s, and has been through it all, and give you this long-term perspective is super important, so that we face the years ahead with more confidence, which is something that I think is super, super strong that a product person has, is confidence, right? Confidence in the future, confidence in the product, confidence in herself or himself.
So without wanting to go too deep into that, because this was intended to be a short episode, because a little snippet for someone, we'll get you back on for a full length episode, Andre, where we can talk about something other than the conference, because we haven't done that yet.
No, I haven't.
Which is ridiculous. Let me make a note
It's
here.
fine. I usually tell my team, look, we have like a very simple product to sell, which is a conference, and being in Lisbon, what you're selling is also a location, right? You're selling an experience which is pegged to where you're going to, which I guess it's always valid for wherever you're going to. But if you're going to a place where you can have a break over the weekend and just enjoy yourself before you go back home, back to the office, I think that's what we're doing here. And we're heading towards our 10th edition. So this is our 9th edition.
Really? Wow.
2025 will be the 10th edition. It's also a time for us to be a little bit more reflexive in the sense of being mindful and thoughtful of what should be next for 2025, of course. And we really try to tweak the event every year and to respond to new needs and to new challenges that we see people facing inside the community, but also next has in what makes sense for the community for the next decade or so, or for the next 5 years. And that is something that we should definitely maybe do together on an episode or something like that.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, I'd love to. We'll make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
I've been looking at the schedule of upcoming speakers, and we've got some awesome people that have been recorded at the moment. And then there's, but I think this would be a lovely thing to do, perhaps after the conference. Let's see if we can get scheduled in. Hey, Andre, I think it's important that we let people know, first of all, when the conference is, which is the 2nd to the 4th of October.
Yes. So the Leadership Forum is on. The workshops take place on October 3rd and the talks on October 4th. There's basically 3 tickets available. So if you want to go the full experience, you go full access. So that's October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. If you want to go all access, that's October 3rd. And if for some reason you just want to go for the talks, then that's the talks ticket. That's just October 4th talks, and it gives you access to what we call the conference.
I think people should take advantage of at least the workshops and the talks, because, and like you say, turn it into a vacation. I mean, spend some time there. Portugal's a wonderful place, and Lisbon's an amazing city. Like, spend some time there.
Do not sell it that way to your boss. He might be a little bit envy, or bring them with you.
Bring the boss with you. Say, hey, boss, you deserve a vacation. I've got a brilliant idea.
I have a brilliant idea. I have heard about Productized in Lisbon.
Yes. I would try and sell that to my boss. Unfortunately, I am my boss, and I'm already sold. So it doesn't make any difference. But I'm going to be taking the Product Agility podcast crew. So I think I'll be there, and I believe Steph Ashmore will be there. I think that one of my other partners in crime, Saloni, who came along last year,
yes,
she'll also be there. I'm no doubt wanting to talk about something that she's talk to people about some of the things that she's been working on, because she's got some fantastically interesting things around product operating and engagement models, which she'll be on the podcast soon talking about. But I really urge everyone, go to, and let me get the URL correct here. Yeah, productized.co. So it's productized with a Z.co. The link will be in the show notes. So do check out the show notes. We'll put it at the top to make sure that you've got something to click. Go on there and grab yourself that early bird ticket, because the early bird offer expires when, Andre?
It expires on June 28th, so pretty much at the end of the month. Yeah. And then we have regular tickets coming in on sale until the end of September, and actually the end of August, and then in September we have full price. So 30% off until June 28th.
And it is an absolute steal, if I do say so. I think you're probably not charging enough, if I'm honest with you, Andre, because for €560, which it is on the early bird price for the 2 days, or $890 for the full access, I just think that is in euros as well. So for people in the UK,
euros,
it's just a steal. It's an absolute steal.
Plus VAT. You do have to. We also charge, VAT. So it gets a full price. If you're actually being charged VAT, it gets just a little bit over that.
Yeah. Even still, it's a steal. When I think how much some other conferences cost, I'm not going to name any names, and you're hitting like 4 figures for something where you are one of too many people lost in a sea of mediocrity, I would say, some of these really large conferences. I think you're coming in way under that.
We've always had this price since pretty much the beginning. We've never really tried to push prices. No, I mean not even when this was a much larger event. back in pre-pandemic, because we always felt that we should have a price which is, reasonable to cover costs and to run the event in a way that most people in the product community that want to take part of this experience can take it.
Fantastic. So we'll draw this to a close. But I will say, Andre, in person, I would say, but I can't wait to make some new friends and hopefully see some of you there, listeners, at Productized 24, because it'd be lovely to meet some of you in the flesh. So if you are there, if you do go, well, how about this? When you buy a ticket, share it on social media, say you bought a ticket, or just drop me a direct message on LinkedIn to let me know you bought a ticket so we can arrange some time to meet up and we can say hi, we can have a coffee, talk product, talk product agility, talk whatever you want, really. I'm a pretty easygoing kind of guy, but it'd be great to see some of you all there. Andre, is there anything you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap up today?
Yes. So I think when people are trying to buy a ticket for a conference, for an event, for, a boot camp, whatever it is, I think there's a question in their mind, which is this for me, right? Should I go to this event? Should I spend time here? And it's not like they're not interested in an event. Maybe they are and they find it cool. But I think people are always asking, is this for me? Am I the right persona to, take advantage of this? And if you get to the Productized page and you are someone in the product space, you are innovating products, you are doing transformation, you are interested about product management or design or service design or product operations, really whatever it is, I think the question begs to be answered with it is for you, and I think you'll have a great time. Then, of course, if you want more of a leader or senior position, you might want to consider the full access. But if what you really want is to have a good time and learn and get to know new people, then all access or conference day is probably what you might want to consider in terms of tickets.
Perfect. Thank you, Andre. And thank everyone for lending us your ears once again. We will be back pretty soon with more episodes from Scrum Day London. The normal service will resume in a week or so's time. So thank you very much for your time, listeners. Andre, thank you so much for coming on. Can't wait to see you in person in October.
Me too.
As always, this is the Product Agility Podcast, and we will hear from us again soon.
Thank you.